I could literally die tomorrow, and I
Yeah.
would be like, I never really sang in a band, and I had this band, and we played shows and put out albums, and we didn't say anything at all. We did get a random email one day that was like, Universal Video Game, and we're like, what is that? And I got a phone call from that same number who had emailed me before, and they were like, yeah, so the video game is for Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And I was like, we email the Batman movie music people,
Yeah.
and
After we make it.
after we make the music video, and then we see if they like it, and then if they like it, then they'll just put it in the next movie. It means a lot to us that it is a real place. Like, I think some people might be confused that, like, we're picking up on it like the meme. It's like, oh, now we're in the American Football House. Polyvinyl reached out to us, and they were like, hey, so like the space is pretty much going to be up and running. Do you guys want to live there and write music together? We were like, yes.
Welcome to the Emo Social Club, your home for music news and interviews. And I'm Lizzie, and I'm here with Anamanaguchi, which I'm so excited to be talking to you guys. How are you?
Fantastic.
We're doing great.
So good.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having us, Lizzie.
Yeah, of course. And if you guys just want to introduce yourself so everyone can get familiar with your voices and everything like that, and what you do in the band, of course.
For sure. Yeah, I'm Pete. Um, I guess I started this band about 20 years ago in high school. Um, Grew up around New York. Um, and then I met Luke on MySpace after we'd been a band for a minute, and Luke joined us at a house party that we played at their friend's house, and they've been a band ever since. And that's also been about like 17, 18-ish years.
Yeah.
So
And I'm Luke. I'm the aforementioned MySpace joined member. I play drums, and we all do some songwriting at this point.
Mhm.
And yeah, and now we're all singers.
All right,
That's true.
we're bringing it all together. With it, we've seen a lot of bands recently, especially have some of their folks who are drummers also be their singers, and I think that's such an interesting and also very talented dichotomy to bring together in general. When just because you're just moving so quickly, and in general, it just seems so difficult to do.
It is. It's like it is already difficult to be a good singer, and
Not to mention a good drummer. That's even
Mhm.
maybe rarer. I don't know.
hard to say. But definitely, like, it's been an adjustment process in a big way. Like, we've played one show, uh, a single show on the day that we announced the album in May, where we were actually performing and doing some songs from the new record, and I yeah, big adjustment, but I'm excited about it. I'm still kind of learning how to use a microphone properly with my instrument.
No, that's definitely fair. Now, here's always been my question, because as somebody who's personally one doesn't really have any musical talent, this is why I'm a music journalist and content creator. On that end, but also someone who's asthmatic. Do you guys have to deal with that as a repercussion of you singing and also playing instruments in general at the same time?
I'm about to find out because for me, for me, I'm now the lead singer of the band after that's been like, it's been a joke where people just assume that since I'm like the frontman of the band, that I'm the lead singer, but we've been instrumental for 20 years. And so this record's the first one where we're like, yeah, let's sing. And uh so yeah, we've done exactly one show where I've sung in front of an audience, that same one Luke is talking about over in New York last month. We'll see what happens over the course of like 2 months of touring when we head out in September. But I will say, just because you said asthma, um, I used to play basketball before I decided that I preferred playing guitar in like 6th grade. And I was on
Okay.
the A team in my basketball team. And then 7th grade, it was the B team. 8th grade, the C team. I very much stopped caring. Um, but my dad, who was like the coach when I was earlier, like 6th grade, he was coaching one night, um, he was like, he heard from the coach of the 8th grade team. He was like, Pete, you're in big trouble. You guys were running the drills. They're called suicides, where you like run
Oh
and then you run
yeah.
back and you run further. And my dad was like, the coach said that you told him you have asthma, and you don't have asthma. You just don't want to do that. And it's true.
Uh,
I don't have asthma, but I also did feel like I was actually going to die. So I hope that doesn't happen in front of an audience. Yeah. I'm gonna
Okay.
I'm gonna like do all the exercises, all the like whatever. If anybody knows tips, I need them all.
Yeah, really, we just got to start doing cardio tonight. That's we just got to get ready. That's all.
Yeah.
You know, there you can always do it because it builds up your tolerance a little bit if you got to hop on like a cardio machine afterwards. If you do strength training yoga, so it just means you're doing yoga, but you
Sure.
have weights with you. That's how I exercise at least. So you like have to control your breath and you're still like getting some of that movement in. So that could be a good start for you to start to learn to control your breath with the movement.
I'm gonna definitely also need to build up strength because I'm not sure I can lift things yet either. So
There seems to be a lot of firsts for you guys after being a band for 20 years, and I think that's so unique that you guys are also kind of excited and nervous in a positive way. Whereas I feel other bands who have been along just as long, if they were nervous or concerned about doing something new, they would probably be like freaking out.
that's funny, yeah, because there is like one big change that's kind of happening with us for this record, which like the unifying change of it is like we've sort of always described ourselves as like an internet band or even like a MySpace band or whatever. And now that the internet like kind of sucks in a lot of ways, like this is a cool example of it where like there's actually something social happening. Most situations, it's like we've decided now that like we want to just like be in the real world part of it. It was always like we were the only band at the DIY space bringing a Nintendo on stage. And now it's a situation where like everyone's DJing and we want to have giant guitar cabinets with us,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, but it's like, it was definitely a firm decision that we made. And like all the excitement comes from just like really believing in it. And just like, kind of just like doing it anyway, because we feel like it will probably be right. Cause it's like, Luke and I were both in our mid 30s. I'm 30. I don't even remember. I think I'm 37. Maybe I turned 37 this year.
You're a few months
Yeah.
from 37, and I'm
Few
currently
months from
37.
Yeah. So like we grew up East Coast, West Coast, growing up, going to like shows, you know, and uh, I hang out, like I go to like Smash tournaments here, like video game tournaments. And like, to me, I see like a lot of people who were my age, like when I was going to shows, they're like going to like video game tournaments and stuff every week. And maybe they're going clubbing too. But one thing I'm pretty sure isn't happening a lot is like the sort of shows that really built communities in the way that like we grew up, like the idea of like music scenes relegated to like different spaces in the country, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we want to like look, we are exploring that hardcore.
I also think that I kind of, to your point, the nervousness, you know, we're getting close to this album release now. And I remember feeling a similar sort of like tension when we were putting out USA a few years ago, that like, you know, it was a very different record from what we're putting out in August. But the idea of, we as a band have always been very interested in progress as a concept for ourselves and not repeating ourselves. Like we stay looking for whatever is the exciting thing forward for us, and committing to that feels important. So like I think that it would be a very different album if we didn't feel nervous, if we didn't feel like we were pushing ourselves and each other in a really distinct direction from where we've been, or rather not, you know, a direction like outwards, but like it does feel like a logical thing for us to be like, this is still exciting, this is something for us to do differently, and also at the same time more intrinsically aligned with what we want this to be. Like it's another branch to take.
Yeah, and I do want to add like one small thing to that, which is like something that lends itself to like the confidence in that nervousness and excitement is like we all feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like, and it's pretty rare that like me, like that Luke and I and Ari and James will all feel the same way, even about stuff that we put out that we love. But in this, like we just all agree with the approach. We all agreed like, yeah, let's spend a month in the American Football House in Urbana, where none of us really have spent any time at all. and live there together where no one has an edge over anybody else in terms of feeling comfortable, and like kind of see what happens. And yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing too is that in general, if you want to make any type of progress, if you want to grow as an individual, as a band, whatever it is, you do have to be okay with being uncomfortable in order to make that transition, whatever it is. And I think if you're also spending a lot of times also in an area in Urbana, Illinois, I have not spent any time in Urbana, Illinois personally either. But if
Hmm.
you're also at a very iconic place within music history as well, that is probably another way to help reformat your brains a little bit too with what you're thinking and what you're doing and what's going to possibly even be integrated into your new sound.
Yeah, I think there is a big aspect of that. I mean, speaking for myself, like I grew up a huge fan of a lot of bands from that area. I've said very openly I am hugely inspired by Braid and specifically their drummer Damon Atkinson. Or obviously, well, not obviously. Uh, our label found out very quickly upon our arrival there what a diehard Kinsella fan I am. Um, and there is something very specifically grounding about being in that place and immersing in it in a way that helped us to stay like very involved in the task at hand. Like we I don't know, kept it pretty kept it local, I guess, when we were working on it in a fun way.
No, I think it's really cool because I remember pulling up the presser. I'm like, is that the American Football House? And I think that that's just such a unique tie-in in general. So first of all, is Mike going to be at the Metro show?
I hope so. We've had I'd say the only line of communication we've had with the American football dudes outside of Instagram comments is when uh Luke got a photo with Mike at Fun Fest, right?
Yeah. I've met him
In 2016.
I've met a couple of times as a fan. So there's a very good picture of me side stage after the American football set there. And I am like you can tell when someone is like trying to keep it together in a picture. And
Oh yeah,
that's me.
like you're
Uh
cheesing, but you're like, oh my God, I'm freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, there hasn't been a whole lot of like direct contact. Even in 2020, we did a mid lockdown or like an early lockdown, we did a show on Minecraft, like in a discrete Minecraft server. That featured a set from American football as well
Well,
as
it wasn't
us.
just a show on Minecraft. It was during lockdown, and someone had this idea to make a recreation of the venue elsewhere in New York City, cool independent venue elsewhere, and to put the American Football House on stage
Right.
at this virtual Minecraft elsewhere venue, so that people could recreate the meme "What if we kissed in the American Football House" in Minecraft, and we were sort of like the what would you call it? The ambassadors maybe of like this culture to polyvinyl and American football, to be like, no, this will actually, I know it sounds weird. It's probably gonna be fun. It's definitely gonna be cool. You should probably do it, even if it means like installing weird software in your computer. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, but everyone ended up having a good time with it. But yeah, like pretty indirect. Point being, time will tell. Mike might be there, and some of the Steves might be there. Who knows?
One or two of them, it might just be a
Yeah.
little fun pop up. We'll see, like, oh my God, it's that one, number one or number two.
Yeah, exactly.
I also think that for a band that really labels themselves as an internet band, obviously one because of how kind of online and how much you've integrated with a lot of online culture that you guys have been over the last 20 years, but also with just kind of your sound and being 8-bit, and I think a lot of people would just associate that with technology overall.
Yeah.
I think it's still quite interesting that you're kind of taking a leap outside of the internet. Like, I'm imagining you guys literally jumping out of like an old school brick computer and there's like a rainbow to carry you over into like the reality
Sure,
of it
yeah.
all.
Like doing an opposite of Tron type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The opposite of that Simpsons episode.
Yeah, or that movie Stay Tuned.
I love that movie.
That movie's great.
I love that movie.
I don't think I've ever seen that one, but I'll tell you, I'm also a college professor. I had to explain what Tron was to my college students, and I said, I think I gotta go, man, because I'm only 30, and I'm like, we're not that far apart, guys.
Yeah, it's like,
How do you
y'all
not
didn't
know
see
what Tron
Tron
is?
Legacy?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah,
like,
that was my thing.
Yeah.
Chat, are we cooked?
Chat, are
Is
we
that-
fucking cooked, man?
We might be cooked. I don't know.
So I notoriously did not graduate from NYU. I studied music technology, dropped out my second semester senior year, and part of the reason why graduating didn't make sense after going back, there's a long story there, but there's like certain credits that I like. Some of my electives I was a little, you might say like adventurous with. Like they weren't sure how to count the propaganda study class that I took in the music technology degree, or like the fair use copyright class that I took for that. But I think they've proven useful.
I think you really
100%.
thought ahead here. Like you cooked.
Yeah.
You cooked here.
Cooked, parentheses, positive.
Yes, exactly. We have to
Yes,
really
yeah.
differentiate within this conversation. Positive cook, negative cook.
Right.
Yeah, chat, are we cooked or did we cook? Yes.
Precisely.
That might be the title of this episode. We know you guys did absolutely cook though with your latest singles. We have Magnet and we also have Darcy. But
Mhm.
let's start off with Magnet because this is your Batman rock.
Speaking of fair use, yes.
Totally.
Yes, and AMB, because I was watching that and I said, as a nerd myself, I need to know what we had to go through for fair use.
Yeah. It's Luke and I grew up on a steady diet of Weird Al Yankovic. I think
Yeah.
maybe even the whole band did.
It's one of the few things I think we can all four firmly agree on. Yeah.
And
Okay.
probably in between that steady diet of Weird Al, we also probably grew up on a steady diet of movie, music video, blockbuster tie-ins. Where they discovered early on that if Ghostbusters had a music video, kids might ask their parents to go see Ghostbusters. Or if what if Prince did a dance for Batman? And all of these things. So then that plays into the 90s where we grew up, where it's Kiss from a Rose by Seal, or they even had that U2 animated music video.
Yeah.
Or you have Chad Kroeger from Nickelback on a rooftop while Spider-Man is slinging his way, you know.
Or to keep it emo, my favorite one, Dashboard Confessionals, Vindicated from Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
Yes, I met Chris Caraba once in Fort Lauderdale after a music festival, and I was with me and all my friends. It was late at night, so we were a little bit, swifty. I went up to him and I said, "Wow, it's Chris Caraba. Hey, my brother really likes that Spider-Man you did that song
That's
for."
so sick. He probably was very refreshed by that.
You could
He
tell.
seemed like, what is happening right now? But okay.
One time a few months or a couple of years ago, Pete and I were getting breakfast with someone we were working with, and Owen Wilson was behind us in line to order food, and it took everything in me to not just fist bump and be like, "Homie, front salad, back salad, front blunt." And I feel like he would have really appreciated that.
It's a obscure reference to a Spike Jonze skate video
in
that
which he had a
did, yeah.
cameo. But,
Okay.
but I don't know. I can't help but feel like if someone is going to make a very deep cut to someone like that, they got to be kind of stoked on it.
The
I'm
thing
sure
is,
Chris thought that was funny.
I
if
would
nothing
hope
else.
so. I think the other thing is too is that if you are going up to a mainstream celebrity, that of course their big blockbuster hits, you gotta hit them with the niche crazy stuff that 5 people in your immediate city know about.
And
then
by
I
the
think
way,
they'll
if
be
you
cool with
watch the what do you call it, the behind the video for Vindicated, he's stoked. He's like, he gets to walk on the set of Spider-Man. He's like, this is just what it's all about.
Yeah, it's hype.
I get to be friends with Spider-Man. And I think a lot of artists don't get that chance anymore because the movie tie-in music video is very much dead. I mean, there's a new Batman movie. Where was that? There's been 5 Spider-Man movies. Where's the music video?
Men in Black 3 didn't have one, and Men in Black is a series that is built around this kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, you're so right, honestly. I never even thought of that, but you are correct because Will Smith put nothing but bangers out for those first 2.
He did. We actually listened to them on the
Yeah, we could talk about that specifically for a long time, but
yeah. But yeah, as part of the usage of it, it was this is a whole story of us part of fair use is like you need this element in order to tell a story that you're doing. Like you can't actually do it without that. So we're a band on an independent music label, in America. We grew up in the 90s. We are in bands because of that environment in which we grew up, and that's how we see the world. And so, this is something that we grew up knowing that bands are capable of doing. This is like the pinnacle. The best thing that could ever happen to your band is you get a song in a movie.
Yeah.
And if you get a song in like the biggest movie, like Batman, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's hard for that to not be very informative to our experience around the industry and what it takes to make it at a certain level.
Yeah, so in the video, we're playing this sort of like version of ourselves that has this like naive idea of like, how do we make that happen? I guess we email the Batman movie music people.
Yeah.
And
after we make it.
After we make the music video, and then we see if they like it. And then if they like it, then they'll just put it in the next movie. And that option is honestly still on the table.
Oh, okay.
If
they're watching.
Yeah. If anyone from, let's say, Legendary Pictures or DC specifically.
I actually do want to mention this detail. There's the music video starts with this like little setup of the premise there, where the director Jared Robb, he works with this group called Nirvana the Band, the Show, the Movie. Or they just made this movie called Nirvana the Band, the Show, the Movie. As you could tell, they are versed in fair use as well. So, but the way that Jared likes to work, he said, I want you guys to go to the computer and look up who makes the Batman music stuff for the Batman movies. And don't look anything up in advance. I want to like capture your real reactions. So we find it out and we go to the website of like the music supervisor and everything. We're scrolling around and we get a genuine reaction where we're like, holy shit. Like, dude, like below him, like somewhere on that page is a dude who we've known for 30 years.
Yeah. Like actual close personal friend of the band from childhood times with whom we've stayed in close touch.
So,
and that friend has never just been like, hey guys, gotta tell you something.
I mean, we found out that day that we didn't really have a whole lot in common with him vis-a-vis Batman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Cause we were like, yeah, it's a super Batman song. Right. And he's like, honestly, if you gave me 1,000,000 years, I would not have come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what he thinks now.
Now, thinking about you, hopefully, maybe we're going to manifest it. We're going to get some crystals up in here that you are on this upcoming new Batman soundtrack. You also classified as Batman rock. And I think right now we're in like kind of like this funny genre era where we have like divorced dad rock, for example. Yeah. So what are other bands that you would classify fall into your version of Batman rock?
Such a fun question.
You want to jump on that? Because you had a great example earlier.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but there are a few things like sonically that really put it into the world of Batman rock. There's a specific kind of like not just angst, but tension harmonically that carries through for a lot of things that
it's got to feel like you're gliding through the city skyline.
Yeah.
Or like you pull the throttle.
Yeah, there's a specific kind of determination. And one of the first things that
romance is key.
And one of the first things that comes up for me when I think of this combination is Trent Reznor is very much like Nine Inch Nails. That not only does he have this very specific tension in the way that he plays around with chords and things like that, but there is a drive and there is a like inherent hardcore sexuality to it. Like the first song that I thought of as far as like something that is Batman music that is not in Batman is Just Like You Imagined by Nine Inch Nails from The Fragile, if that one rings a bell to you. But yeah, a lot of that in terms of the grit, the power, the soaring nature of it. And when you get into the sort of like curated aspect of what sounds like Batman music, what's been presented as Batman music to the public by the Batman movies, I think that hits a lot of bases for me.
Yeah, okay, I feel like that definitely tracks for sure.
I think the Batman people had great prescience when they included Sunny Day Real Estate's 8 on the Batman Forever soundtrack. And I think if those same people were like working stuff in the 2000s, like if Joel Schumacher got to make the third Batman movie that he really wanted to,
which I believe was said to be called Batman Unchained.
Batman
Oh.
Unchained, yes. I imagine that Sunny Day Real Estate probably would have been on that too, and it probably would have been a track from The Rising Tide. In fact, there's a song called Faces in Disguise that when I heard it, sometimes I'll just be driving around and I'll hear a song and I'll be like, that's very Batman. And we were listening to the Band's Playing episode about Sunny Day Real Estate, and they talked about that song Faces in Disguise and how Paramore actually covered it a lot.
That's right.
In some of their early shows, and you can check that footage out on YouTube. We threw that up, and Luke and I were like, this is very Batman.
Batman as fuck.
Very, very Batman.
Crazy.
But yeah, Bone Thugs are on there. Brandy. It's
Okay, I could see that
the
too. We
Flaming
gotta
Lips.
balance it out.
Yeah.
We need a little bit of like hardcore and a little bit more like R&B in there too.
yeah, I think club music definitely has a role in the new Batman. Like Peggy Goo is on there, which is sweet.
Yeah, Bauer is on the new Batman soundtrack.
I picture stuff like Massive Attack, or Rihanna has probably one of the greatest Batman songs ever written, hidden. It may already even be out.
Well,
never know.
Yeah.
everyone's asking for Rihanna to come back and for everything she has to be leaked in general. So only time will tell. And
Yeah.
maybe enough online begging, not even bullying. Because I'm always like, you know what? Maybe we bully people to leak. No, we need to beg Rihanna to leak.
Yes, it's a beg. She came back out for the Smurfs. That just happened.
That's a crazy thing to come back to. But I'm like,
Yeah.
that's probably a lot of money they're giving her for
Yeah,
Smurf
sure.
money.
It would be nice
Smurf-
to get Smurf money.
It's
I like
that
it- I
blue
like
Smurf
picturing
money.
Yeah, you have an auction room, and it's like the Smurfs are like, we could give you that much, and then Batman's like, well, we could double that, and please make music for us. So,
50-year-old record exec in a Papa Smurf hat.
yeah, and
Sold.
yeah, Rihanna's just like chilling, has no interest at all.
Yeah, she's on her phone.
Yeah.
She's on her phone, about to have her other kid with her other kids, and A$AP Rocky's just there in the corner being being
Oh,
himself.
A$AP Rocky, I feel also definitely has some Batman stuff. I gotta say.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, it's an attitude. I don't. The cool thing about it as a genre is like I feel certain about this, that nobody is a Batman artist except for maybe Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
funny.
he's the only
Trevor,
person who, like,
he
really...
spans so many different movies, and you're like, yeah,
Yes.
that makes sense. I don't care what it is, it makes sense.
Yeah, he's a cinematic kind of guy, like Prince. Prince, you could kind of just call a Batman artist.
Yeah. Like it's hard for either of them to make something that wouldn't be applicable to Batman.
But having said, basically, it's very almost impossible to be a Batman artist. But I think a Batman song can come from anybody, and so Magnet is ours. In fact, part of the reason why we started running with this idea in the first place is like we thought that we were going to get laughed at by our label when we told them the idea. Like when we were like, "Oh, Polyvinyl, we have this song. It's like kind of Batman," and then like the A&R dude was like, that's funny you say that, because the Mama record, we've been talking about how one of these songs kind of reminds us of Batman." And I'm like, are you serious? And then, so they sent me the record, and I was like, is it this one? And he was like, yeah. And then I showed it to the whole band. I was like,
No
I said, find the Batman song. There's one here. Can you find it? Unanimous. We all agreed.
Yeah.
The song is called Last Kiss. It's by Mama. It's a Batman song. I'm sorry.
You know what's crazy? Because I get their press releases too. Nowhere in there did I see anything about Batman. And I really think that we need to start saying, if you listen, for example,
RYL.
Yeah.
if you listen to like Bleed American by Jimmy Eat World, you would be like, this is quintessential early 2000s teen romance goofy movie. I think we need to start phrasing music like that again, so people really get the vibe that we're going for, and will
We're really
probably more
trying to-
interested
to-
into it.
we're really trying to bring that further into the public lexicon. Like it's
Totally.
it's so clear, and it's right there, and it's just an easy thing to point to. I don't know.
Yeah, Ari was like, some people might say, like, we have a song that sounds kind of beachy. It's like, yeah, that's a vibe. This is a very specific vibe.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
the Beach Boys even understood that. I think they were like, this isn't just the beach. This is like, you know, that party that you have at the beach where like the things in the sand, like the big surfboards in the sand, and there's a big fire. People are doing that dance, like, and they're driving their cars to the beach.
Yeah.
That's like I think that's the hidden ground of the Beach Boys. They were basically the car boys.
But you get a lot of different beach from the Beach Boys. You also get like the beach party winding down at the end of the night.
You're right.
Sun's on the horizon.
Surfer Moon.
Yeah. God.
You get the full beach party day, and they're able to illustrate it not only just lyrically but also sonically.
Yeah.
And that's hard for a lot of acts to do in general.
And they even get the feeling where you haven't been to a beach party in 20 years.
Yeah.
Like they're all about it. You know, Brian Wilson, R.I.P., big R.I.P. to
Big
Brian
R.I.P.
Wilson.
Mhm.
We would not be here talking about Batman unless Brian Wilson inspired us all to make music, which is 100% one-to-one true. He talked about the song Pet Sounds as being written for James Bond. I think he was like, something about this like instrumental piece is like, it's giving James Bond, and it didn't work out for him. But yeah,
I mean,
big loss for the Bond franchise.
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, what you had a Beach Boy, you have Beach Boys. What are we doing here? Big fumble,
Right.
honestly. Now, aside from the fact that we have to figure out when an Anamanaguchi beach party is, IRL, or in Minecraft, I guess, we could bring it back online if we want to deal with the cooked kids, where they are now in 2025 compared to 2020, 2021. When it comes to gearing up for tour and just this one show that you also played, how were the fans' reactions to you actually integrating singing alongside what they're traditionally used to is just chiptune?
I'd say like we had been pushing that for a minute with like guest vocalists with stuff like we have a song called Prom Night, which features
That's my favorite song.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. I love that song too. And but yeah, at the time we were like, are people gonna like this? And it's like, yes. And we loved it, and we hoped other people would too. And so yeah, it was exciting to like bring Bianca out on stage with us whenever we'd play it. Yeah, we've like had vocal features. Like we even did this song with Hatsune Miku, which is like blown up beyond a human recognition of what a song means to be popular, which is crazy to me. She's in Fortnite, and Luke made a dance, which is in Fortnite for her. So very, very strange.
That's crazy.
That was my choreography. Yeah.
So we had a track record going on where it's like we started as a chiptune band, and that's great. But every time that we've thought about adding any form of vocals to what we do, it's always worked out. And then we realized when we were together in the American Football House, we hadn't really decided at that point that we were going to sing on everything. It was just like all the songs that we had written together in the house and that we brought to the house and everything, we were like, everything that we're inspired by right now, like this, it's all calling for vocals. And then as soon as we thought about that and like really took it seriously, after friends honestly confirmed that it was a good idea, we were like, okay, so what do we sing about? What do we like? What is our voice? We've had guest voices. We know what Miku sounds like when we work with her as a producer, so to speak, or stuff like that. But like, if the band had something to say, what would it be at this moment in time, like right now? And yeah, it's one thing to record that and another thing to play it live. And the one show that we did, the response was, I think, really, really, really great. And
absolutely.
Granted, it was like, we announced the show day of, it was the same day that we released this first single, Darcy. And we were like, show's happening tonight, come through. And it was at a small place, so not everybody could get in. We had a guest list, and it was like, it was mostly like friends, close friends that we like let know in advance, and they were there, and even family were there. And yeah, like I just remember hearing my brother sing along the lyrics because he like knows all the lyrics to all the songs because he was like with us in the house for a while we were writing them and stuff. And you know, that might sound funny, but like hearing him sing it along, he had said to me, like, my brother Dan, who like is the reason I'm into music kind of like at all, older brother syndrome. He's the cool older brother. He knows all the cool stuff. So he was like, you know, Pete, I think like when you guys play this stuff live, I can't wait to see what like people give back to you guys with these songs. like in terms of like singing stuff, like feeling them, like with ad libs. There's like, when I listened to the record, he was saying like there's stuff that like I just, whenever I'm at a show, I want to like sing something back. And we've never really, well, that's not true. The experience that we've had of that is limited to like something that almost feels like a soccer anthem. We have a song called Endless Fantasy, which is like sort of this like long drawn out melody. And we would play shows and just hear people like, oh, like sing it back to us. And so that was cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'd say like, I don't think I've fully seen the reaction yet. All that I know is like, for the most part, it seems like our audience is like excited that we're not staying in the same place. I think there's like a small group of people. There's sort of that like ska thing that Chiptune has where like they got rid of the horns and now I'm really upset. It's like, we even didn't get rid of the Nintendo elements. Like every single song on the record has some kind of digital aspect to it that's like straight up chip music. It's just not the focus. And so I don't know, what's funny is like live, I actually imagine it being a bit louder than it is on the records, honestly. But yeah, the short answer, I'm so sorry I took so long with this,
No,
is
that's
like,
fine. We love
like
longer answers.
I think the reaction's been great, and it's been honestly better than I expected.
Yeah.
So, and I think what I'm mostly excited about, like the songs that are out now, we have 2 singles, Darcy and Magnet. They like, as much as like I love them and as exciting they are for me to like explore in all these different ways, like they don't really like tell the full story of the album or like the band. Like there's so much more coming, and that's like, if people are on board with what we're doing with these songs, I am just incredibly excited to see how they react when they hear the rest of the record, which like honestly straight up, it's kind of a punk record. It's kind of like punk. It's kind of maybe even emo a bit.
Yeah.
It's, but less on the American football side of like, you know, exploring sort of like soundscapes, and more in the like deeply hard sort of like intense, maybe even angry
like
sounding.
You know, if emo comes from, and it does, emotional hardcore, then that feeling and ethos, if not sonically, then just like that's represented. Absolutely.
Yep. I was gonna say that's like not even like the whole thing of it. Like obviously we're exploring a lot of sounds, but yeah, like that, I'm excited for people to like, as far as like what would we sing about, like I'm stoked for people to hear that. And what I mean to say, again, short answer wise, is like I'm excited that people are happy with what they've heard so far. It makes me feel good about what's coming.
Totally.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that we can also talk about is that your new album, which is called Anyway, it's coming out August 8th. When I was kind of doing my research, this does very much have more of that punk body, the angry at what's happening in society and in the world, and also dealing with a lot of hard and difficult emotions. So what was kind of that triggering event that made you want to sit down and say, this is going to be the thematic elements of this album compared to anything else you've done previously?
It's a really good question. I'd say it's really hard for me to pin it down to any single event.
Yeah.
Like, we took too long to make the record. It took 6 years. We were already sort of exploring these themes back in 2019 with USA. But the difference is like, we tried to do that in this like almost like dramatic, theatrical, operatic, essentially like non-lyrical way, this like kind of symphony of emotions about this like digital change in our lives. But yeah, I'd say like musically, the anchor to that like emotional feeling that we all share is in this song that will be the next single. It's called Rage. And
this is a leak, by the way. This is a proper leak on our part.
True. Yes, that's true.
This hasn't been made public.
This is the
Oh,
scoop.
good.
But yeah, that song captures a lot of feelings for me about like, you know, we're adults now, hopefully, thankfully, like we've grown a lot in many, many, many ways. And since we started this music project, I feel like our audience has as well. And I think there was this like shared vision maybe of the future that even, I guess I am an optimist in general, but like I'm also, I was very like I was very like counterculture, I think, in the 90s and the 2000s. Like I love punk rock. I was like, the way that the world is going doesn't seem right to me. Um, and I don't know, the way you could sum it up is like, you know that movie Empire Records, where
Yeah.
it's like they raised the money to save the record store, and everything's okay after one day. It's like they lost, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
they fully lost in reality, and everything that goes with that sort of happened.
Yeah.
So this is our way, I think, of like getting back in touch with those emotions and like that acknowledging like this change that none of us asked for, that none of us could
Yeah.
prevent. Like I don't know, I'd say like to put it in a singular term, like there seems to be an attitude in the world that simply just like doesn't value human life at all. Like that just views people as numbers, views them as this, that, or the other thing. Doesn't think about like any of the concrete realities when like gigantic sweeping decisions are made that affect literally everybody. And the people who make those decisions are so numb from the actual effects of their actions from this like bird eye view that they can basically not even feel responsible, let alone be held responsible.
Yeah.
So, and we do it too. So it's all, you know, it's about trying to like, I don't know, reconnect to real social space as those disappeared and were replaced with digital social spaces. And now as those are disappearing, it's like maybe an opportunity to claim back the real space
Yeah.
if we can.
You know, something that I think about in terms of this between like, yeah, like you said, we examined some of this stuff in a more abstract way with USA, and you know, people also have described that album as being pretty sad. And I think there's a very, there's a very direct line between certain emotions. Like sad and angry are very tied together. We're on Emo Social Club.
Yeah.
Emo has both these things
It's
like
all coming together.
all represented.
You got to
but I
throw in
think-
heartbreak in there too, because you know you've
Well-
listened to
well-
one or two songs. You're like,
Well, I think the interesting thing is that like when dealing mostly within sadness, there is an internalizing thing. Like you are maybe less active, but anger itself as an emotion is a response. It is a drive to take action when viewing some kind of injustice, whether personal or global, whether perceived or very, very real. Like anger is a move to take some sort of direct action. So in a lot of ways, even if certain themes that are, you know, present throughout a lot of like the things we've made or wanted to make or felt this entire time.
But there's, I also want to add though, like you say action and stuff, but I feel like the theme of rage, there's like this feeling of like impotent rage as well. That like you could be so mad about something
Right.
and have no idea what to do about it.
Well, that's
how to channel that
right, exactly.
feeling into something real.
Well, that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Like what I was going to say is that like it is like the feeling of rage, especially and even very justified rage, it calls for a direction. And when there is a problem so omnipresent that there isn't necessarily a strong focal point for it or a direct destination for it, that is stymieing, that's difficult, that's challenging. And yeah, like when certain problems have spread to such a point that it's like, what do I as an individual do here?
Yeah.
It's a weird place to be that often raises more questions than answers. So yeah, I think that a lot of it is like if we I don't think that we find or have answers, but I think that we're at the very least like trying to ask these questions of ourselves and of anyone listening.
Yeah. Like I think I heard a cool quote. There are a couple cool quotes. Like one is boredom is rage spread thin. I think that's like a beautiful way to describe both of those feelings. And then I love the opposite of violence is dialogue. And for us, like being able to speak for the first time, it like
Yeah.
it's a question that we asked ourselves and we're like, fuck it. Sure.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we feeling like stymied enough that we are ready to take action and say things instead of making like a more abstract statement about
Yeah, when Luke and I, we drove up together to the American Football House from Dallas, which is where I live now, and moved from New York to Dallas. So we drove up to Illinois, which is a 12-hour drive, and we listened to like some Dead Kennedys. We listened to some Phil Oaks. We listened to like a bunch of really like kind of political vibey stuff.
Hell yeah.
And obviously, but there was this beautiful song from Phil Oaks, "When I'm Gone," which is like a folk staple. You know, it's one of those things that maybe you've heard it 1,000 times, but you know, it could still affect you. And so we listened to it with some fresh ears, and there's this beautiful line in there that's like, "My pen won't write a lyric line when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here." And I was like, shit, that's true. Like I could literally die tomorrow and I would be like, I never really sang in a band, and I had this band and we played shows and put out albums and we didn't say anything at all. Like we just
we just played our fun little chiptune noise and said,
we made some bleep
yeah,
bleeps.
guys.
Yeah. So
yeah, everything felt like that was the next indicated action or set of actions.
Yeah, I think it might also like, I don't necessarily think this is like a huge point, but a major event for me happened in between the two records, which is my little sister passed away of a metastatic
I'm so sorry.
melanoma. It's all good. It's all good. Thank you though. And yeah, like, you know, my parents are still with us, which is amazing. And so living through that with them and my brother, you know, a lot changed. I think like my attitude towards life changed a lot. Gave a bit of that attitude of like, yeah, courage, just go fucking do it.
Yeah, just get up and actually like do the damn thing and just start to
Yeah.
use the voice that you still have around to be able to kind of project your thoughts, your ideals, and everything like that, especially with being so online and wanting to create kind of like a virtual space when we're losing a lot of physical third spaces and losing a lot of digital architectures at the same time.
Mhm.
It's kind of bringing it all back together in this kind of like new reformation that allows you to be able to like break things down in a way that kind of like reaches people on a different level.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's funny. This actually reminds me of a conversation I had with my sister like years ago, where it was like maybe like 2012 or 13. I was like, I'm giving up Twitter. Like I hate. Obviously, I didn't, but I was like,
That's what we all said.
Yeah.
But I was so frustrated because I was like, I feel like I'm spending all of my energy into these like little meaningless spurts of nothing, and I'm not writing songs. And like, yeah, she was like, yeah, so why don't you just write songs instead of tweets? I was like, that's a really good point. And like,
Smart.
when
Really
that
crazy thing as a musician to do, right? Write music.
right? It's who